trying to hold myself back from texting both of you multiple times because there is no better reality TV than the NFL. Yeah, there is, Skip Bayless.
Eli Apple? Really? Eli Apple?
Crop top. That's all I have to say to you. Crop top. Skip Bayless, Stephen A. Smith, Molly Karen, First Take. How are we doing, guys?
What's up? Good morning. How y'all doing?
I got to ask you one quick question. I did see you on my television at 7, maybe 7:05 a.m. on the 7 o'clock Sports Center. You were without tie on that show, and all of a sudden you're dressing up to take me on. Should I be honored by that, impressed by that?
You actually should be honored by that, because even though everything that I do is important, the fact of the matter is this is what we do. So when it's time, 10 a.m.,
this is it.
I'm completely
this is
ready.
Official.
This
no
is
crop
the
tops
ensemble.
on this show.
It's official.
You know what time it is.
Yeah.
Stephen A. suited and booted. Skip would look good in a crop top.
That.
I'll leave you.
I'm not going to argue.
I'll leave you with that. All right. You know where we're beginning. Laremy Tunsil's social media accounts were hacked twice yesterday night before the draft. First, someone posted a video on his Twitter account that showed the offensive tackle wearing a gas mask and smoking a substance through a plastic tube. Then someone posted screenshots of an alleged text message conversation between Tunsil and Ole Miss assistant AD that shows Tunsil asking for money to pay for his mother's light bill. Tunsil, who at one point was considered a likely #1 overall pick, was picked 13th by the Dolphins. Tunsil spoke to the media about the incidents after being drafted.
Man, somebody hacked my account, man. You know, I made that mistake, several years ago. And somehow somebody got in my photos and hacked my Twitter account. And apparently somebody just hacked my Instagram account. So, man, it's getting crazy. Yeah, I can't control it, man. Whatever I control, I control.
So not only did someone hack your account, but they doctored those messages, is what you're saying, that were posted to you.
Exactly.
You're saying those messages were not messages?
Oh, the message you talking about from, no. Those true. Like I said, I made a mistake of that happening, and it happened.
So was it an exchange between you and your coach with money?
I have to say, yeah.
One thing you can't control as a pro is who you keep around you. Does all this give you some kind of a lesson in that regard?
Man, you can't trust everybody. Like I said, I don't know who did it. I don't know what happened. But like I said, I'm blessed.
Have you talked to the NCAA at all in this investigation? Have they talked to you about?
He's got no more comments. Sorry. Thank you guys so much.
All right, Stephen A., would you have taken Tunsil higher?
No, I would not have. There are a few reasons that I would not have. Obviously, off-the-field transgressions combined with the best ability is availability, and considering the fact that he was suspended for like the first 7 games for receiving impermissible benefits in college, there's so many question marks. If y'all got a top 10 pick, I simply can't take the chance of on him if there's somebody playing his position that's comparable, like a Ronnie Stanley or a Conklin, that ultimately were picked before him. But I want to say that although I say that, and as much as I'm known for telling dudes to stay off the weed, here's the reality. On this particular morning, I find myself feeling a bit sorry for this kid and feeling that he was dealt a raw deal, not by the teams themselves, because I don't blame the Baltimore Ravens or the Tennessee Titans or anybody else for passing up on him before Miami took him at the 13th slot. But I think that the compilation of things need to be taken into consideration. And as I said this morning on SportsCenter, Skip, I compartmentalize when it comes to my empathy and sympathy as it pertains to Laremy Tunsil. On the point of the weed with the bong and the mask on, no excuse for it whatsoever. You were not a child. You knew better than doing what you did. It was a very stupid thing to do. I understand he wants to label it a mistake, but clearly he seemed relatively inexperienced considering how long he had on that mask. So when you consider the level of experience, clearly that wasn't the first time he may have done something of that magnitude. When we talk about synthetic weed, let's keep in mind that we need to educate folks about how dangerous this stuff is. This stuff literally shreds your organs apart. It's incredibly dangerous to be doing that stuff. And so if you're willing to jeopardize your health and your career, I can't trust you. So as it pertains to the weed itself, synthetic, authentic, or otherwise, I don't have any sympathy for that. as it pertains to impermissible benefits, you're going to have to forgive me. But considering the money that these schools earn off the backs of these players, even though it was wrong and no one can excuse it per se, I'm not sweating the fact that you reached out to a coach and asked a coach to pay, you know, a $300 light bill or whatever it was. I'm not worried about that as much if I'm an NFL team. But the biggest thing for me, Skip and Molly, and I want y'all to hear this clearly, is when it came to the issue of domestic violence, here's what really bothers me about this. When we bring up domestic violence, the first thing that came to our mind was, all right, you involved yourself with a woman. That's no excuse. You shouldn't have been involved in that situation. Then we come to find out that it wasn't a woman. It was his stepdad. Then we come to further find out that he allegedly put his hands on his stepdad because he was coming to the defense of his mother. Let me tell you something. The second I heard mama and stepdad, all of that stuff went out the window. I'm not holding Laremy Tunsil responsible for that at all. Because when you are a man and somebody is bothering your mama, all bets are off. So for me, when I think about these NFL teams, what we're talking about here as a negative is two things. The weed, obviously, synthetic, authentic, or otherwise, and the fact that because it's dangerous and because you knew that you would be breaking rules by doing so, I have to question how much I can trust you, because those are the kind of things that can get you suspended, which means that it doesn't matter how good you are because you won't be available because they won't let you play. The other stuff, in terms of the school and getting on a coach, asking a coach to pay a bill, I ain't worried about that from an NFL team. And I specifically want to emphasize, I don't want to hear the word domestic violence when it comes to him and his stepdad, who, by the way, I think the guy's name is Lindsey Miller, Skip Bayless, and they said that he was the one that originally told folks that Laremy Tunsil had departed with an agent. So who does that, number one, if you're a family member, to dime him out like that? And then there's speculation as to whether or not the stepdad was actually responsible for the timing of the leakage of this video, which came literally minutes before the draft began. Somebody is out to get this kid. And there is no reason on earth that this kid should have that, you know, in terms of the domestic issue held against him. That's your stepdad. He's a grown man. He's bothering your mama. He bothering my mama. He gonna get what he's gonna get. Okay. I ain't advocating violence or anything. But come on now, I can't hold that against him. Okay, I got you. But just for the record, just to be objective and stay balanced, remember, that's Laramie's side of that story. They actually accused each other of domestic violence, and that would be obviously another form would be stepson to stepfather. Okay, that's another form of this. But I'm with you on. Yeah, I got you. But they actually filed, you know, they filed charges against each other for domestic violence, and then the stepfather ended up here lately suing, is just last Tuesday, suing him because he said it was an unprovoked physical attack on him, and then the sort of the mental anguish that he went through, psychological anguish. We get this, then we could go on and on. This is a he said, he said. A week before the draft. I know, because then Laramie's lawyer dismissed it as, yeah, you're trying to obtain money just a few days before he's about to get his money. Or cost him. Right. Or cost him money. Or cost him money. And again, the stepfather, just for the record, told TMZ last night, I did not hack his account. I'm not responsible for that. That's his side of that story. It does reek of at least suspicion here. So it's an ugly, nasty, ongoing feud between those two. I get that. Now back to Molly's question. I'm a risk taker, and I got to tell you, I would have been really torn sitting in any of those draft rooms, because we're not talking about just a Pro Bowl talent here, Stephen A. Smith. I think we're talking about a Hall of Fame talent, potential Hall of Fame talent on the college level, unproven obviously at the pro level, but that's how much ability this young man has and how much he demonstrated pretty consistently at Ole Miss. And I wouldn't have taken him higher, to answer Molly's question. I'm sorry, what could be a red letter day for the Miami Dolphins is also a red flag night
because he had a red flag career at Ole Miss. Stephen A., too many red flags flew too often for me to take that risk. As you point out, top 10. Dolphins got him at 13. And by the way, I throw in, where is Miami located? Near South Beach. So you have Temptation Alley in South Beach, right? So
there's a lot of different temptations.
Yeah. Okay. So now back to red flags. Don't forget the injury situations that he went through. He missed a bowl game in 2013, Laremy Tunsil did, with a knee injury. He missed 2 games in 2014 with a partially torn biceps tendon, which means it could be a ticking time bomb. And when that goes, because I've had one, it's a good 6 to 8 months and you're out. Then he fractured his fibula and dislocated his ankle ahead of in the Peach Bowl. Then you talked about 7 games out for impermissible benefits. I get you, but he involved himself in something, as did Johnny Manziel. There's a lot of Manziel syndrome going on here, where you saw all the red flags coming from Johnny, and I think this league is a little more sensitized right now because they see what a walking nightmare disaster Johnny Manziel has turned into, from Heisman Trophy, potential top pick in the draft, to where is he now? And then, remember, Kimdichie dimed him out and said after he got arrested for marijuana possession in the hotel room after he fell through the window, you remember that story, he dimed out Laremy Tunsil and said, oh, yeah, he was with me in the hotel room. Okay, that's not great. The gas mask picture, Laremy said it was a while back. I don't know how far back. I don't think that happened last week, but I don't know if it didn't happen last week because it could have been ongoing. So we got lots of red flags flying for the first 10 picks in the draft. We got the fact that Tennessee was silver platter opportunity. Remember, it's a fairly short drive from Oxford, Mississippi to Nashville. I've driven it before in my college days, not too far. So I think the kid was hoping, I'm going to play for the Titans. It's going to kind of be my home team, so to speak. And the Titans had a chance to take a potential Hall of Fame left tackle. At the Combine, Laremy said, my job's going to be to protect Mariota. Well, that would work. I'm sure Mariota would have appreciated that. And what happened? They traded out. Why did they trade out? Maybe because too many red flags were flying. Maybe there are more red flags we don't even know about. So my point is, I'm a plunger, and I don't think I could have pulled the trigger on this on draft night from minute to minute. As more surfaced, more impermissible benefits surfaced on his Instagram, it's just too many bad indicators.
Well, there's too many bad indicators, and nobody can deny that, which is why I think it was appropriate that he fell out of the top 10, but certainly was still a middle of the first round pick. Number 13 overall to Miami. Keep in mind, like you said, it's Hall of Fame talent. Yeah. Keep in mind that the man played in 28 games and allowed a grand total of 2 sacks in 28 games. Yeah. I mean, this dude is big. He's nimble. He can move. He's comparable to Trent Williams of the Redskins. People look at him in a very complimentary